Hey everybody, as we're wrapping up season 1, we have a bunch of random video clips of different jobs and things we've done. So we thought we would kind of put them together for you to close out the season in a sort of montage of different things that we've done. So hope you enjoy it. There'll be lots of different things, so don't get too comfortable. We're going to change subjects several times. Okay, we're going to mount this Burnowin composite mount to the wall to hold our barbecue when we're not using it down here. Keep it out of the way when we're fishing. This wall is a fiberglass, pretty thick skin, and then it has coring. So I don't want to put a ridiculously long bolt through it and then essentially crush the two coring halves together. That'll just make splits and break the fiberglass. So we're going to do something we've done a number of places on the yacht. We wanted to share with you because we haven't filmed it yet. We're going to use West Systems 610, this thickened epoxy adhesive, a 2-part gap-filling epoxy adhesive, and a self-metering cartridge. Well, I couldn't have said that better myself. So, essentially, this is a structural liquid fiberglass, and I drilled, I'm going to put 1/4 bolts to bolt this thing down. If I can get to them here. Just regular 1/4 stainless. I drilled a 1/2-inch hole, and then when I put the bit in, I also walked the drill around kind of like this, and then cinnamon vacuumed all the coring out of there. So what I'll do now is I'm going to fill this big hole that I made with 610. Secret editing cut. I had to switch tubes, the other one was out. Oh, come on. I'll fix that with a spreader. Ready to go. Nice, smooth. So we'll leave that for 24 hours to cure. So our 610 is dried, and now I'm just coming back and I'm just going to drill into the core of it here. Just running the screws in now. Now when we're fishing and we don't want the barbecue in the way, we can just bring it in here and set it on the mount. And we want to get it out. There's a lock on this other side. Push, lift it out. Easy. Today we're doing a barnacle buster flush on a Detroit 12V71 engine, TA, it's turbo. So we've got a 5-gallon bucket over here with 2 gallons of barnacle buster in it, and just a little bit of water to prime our pump. And you can see I'm holding the hose up here high. We've also taken the exhaust hose for the water output, and we've jacked it up as high as we can here. And we're trying to, you can see we're still bleeding air off, but we're basically filling the entire heat exchanger and the other passages with barnacle buster. And when I stop getting air, or I run out of solution, because we do lose a little out the exhaust, but when it looks like a pretty good column coming out now in the bucket. But once we get this totally circulated into the engine, we'll shut the pump off and we'll wait 1 hour. Once the 1 hour's done, we'll go ahead and lower the exhaust hose and let it go out the exhaust. And then we'll continue to flush with new fresh water. And after 5 minutes or so of that, we'll put the anodes back in, take all these hoses apart, and we'll start the motor up and let it pump the rest of the garbage out the exhaust. So this is a great way. Look at the color of this, stuff coming out of here. That's pretty dark. Depending on how bad these are, we see them get from brown to really black. So this stuff is breaking down all the organic stuff in there, barnacles and all the growth that you get in there. So stuff's pretty safe to use. I wouldn't leave it in your engine overnight, but it's good for an hour or so. I believe this is phosphoric acid. If that's wrong, I'll correct it in text for you. But it's good stuff. Oh, we'll show you the can too. Okay, that's good.
How am I gonna do?
Come up. Oh, hey, pal.
Dude, what are you doing? Do they have an eye?
No. Get over by our boat. He's coming over.
He's under.
Got him?
Yeah.
He's really cute. Oh, he's under the boat now.
What's up? What are you doing out there?
Well, I found another hole to sit in, barely. This is under the owner's cabin bunk, berth, bed, whatever. The bow thrusters down here, when they put the bow thruster tunnel in, see if you can see it, they accidentally, or didn't care, divorced the front section of the bow bilge in here. So water collects down there until it makes a big pool. So we put a little bitty automatic bilge pump that just basically pumps it over the hump to the, there you go, to the large bilge pump, which is back here. And that way it doesn't just sit here and gather and sit forever and slosh around, which is what it has been doing. So, well, it took a long time and a lot of extra work, but we finally managed to get our paddle station. We haven't even actually seen it yet, but we just set it on the deck. So we're going to take a look right now. See how it looks. Wow, look at it. Looks a nice match.
Is that your big present?
That's nice. Really nice. I like it.
So this is a what? Rod holder?
Yeah, here you go. Look at this.
4 rod holder. And what is that? Rod holder also?
That's the rod socket. It's adjustable. You can put it in different holes. And we have the harnesses. This lets you tie onto your reel. Fair lead.
So is that your belt?
Just lets you adjust to hold the rod.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
All right.
Drawer here too.
Oh, that's neat. So it's all fiberglass?
Oh, it's got a magnet.
It's nice. Put your knife out there.
Yeah,
All right.
It's
What do
nice.
you think?
I like it. I'm glad it's finally done.
Good job to install that.
Thank you. Here's the deck mount we made for our Fortress FX55 anchor. It's a pretty simple arrangement. It's got a piece of starboard, 2 3/8 bolts that trap the shoe there, and they go into the deck into a large 610 tapped and threaded anchors on both sides. Then coming to the back, we've got another plate with 2 3/8 studs and 2 ring nuts that have a crossbar that hold it in place. And this thing doesn't go anywhere at all. So that way we can have it up here. It's our stern anchor. We'll throw it over the side with a rode that we keep here in the box in our canvas bag. Tie the buoy onto it. Then we'll drive ahead forward, set our anchor, and then back down to the stern and tie it off to keep us from swinging around in a circle at night. Minor detail we finally got to was sanding and cleaning up the walls here in the engine room ladder, polishing out the ladder itself and restaining the steps. So that was a nice thing that needed to get done. We finally managed to get to. Something I've been wanting to do for a while is to pull a bunch of stuff off this wall and fill holes and just clean and repaint and provide some newer labels and stuff in here. And hang this battery charger, which we use for all of our cordless stuff, and a few other things. Clean up the freezer. I really wanted to put a shelf in here, so I have a little bit more better use of storage space in here. And finally got to that, and some other general cleanup duties in here. So it's nice. Our equipment room here is it's pretty packed with stuff, but pretty well organized, I would say, at this point. So I think I have a picture of how this wall used to look. Actually, it was pretty rough. All right. Also finally got around to fixing this exhaust elbow brace. This had been snapped when we picked up the boat, and it just took the right welder fabricator to be able to TIG this thing in place, and he did a great job with it. I'm glad to have that done. Now that's a lot of ground tackle. Even though this is a crap job, I'm inspecting the chain and brushing any real nasty spots on it just to make sure there's no serious corrosion. And also checking the rope for dry rot or anything that's gone on with that. It behooves you to do that before you need it sometime and have to depend on it and don't really know if it's going to hold or be sound. I'm getting made fun of because I'm scrunched up in front of the starboard engine here.
You look like
Anyway, yeah, thanks for that. So I was working on the bilge pump in here. We changed the float switch and rewired it, so it was kind of cheesed up. But I found the original equipment high water alarm, which is just a float switch. But we checked it with a voltmeter, and this is kind of cool. It's designed to be closed all the time when there's no water. So all of the high water switches are in a loop in series, and they're closed all the time. And that way, if one of them opens, it drops a relay that will then cause an alarm. That's a nice system, because if you have a broken wire or a bad switch, you're going to get the alarm. It might be false, but at least you know there's a problem. That's way better than actually having a high water and the switch doesn't work, and then you don't ever find out until there's a lot bigger of a problem. So anyway, if you don't have a high water alarm, or even if you do, you might want to check it, and also check that it's on a normally closed switch that opens on activation.
There's a bunch of fish up here. Like hundreds of them.
Today we're going to hit some of this rust that's starting to accumulate here in the dripless seals on the bellows. For this job we use Starbright rust stain remover and a little brush, and we have a bucket of water here and a rag with a brush to chase it afterwards. You rinse it with fresh water after. Good to wear gloves, glasses, and a respirator, which Cinnamon's demonstrating safe work here. She's doing the port side. I'll have to do the starboard side since I filmed this. We'll see how they come out. Okay, for comparison, that's that same starboard side dripless, and here's the port side dripless. So make the judgment you will on that. It seems like it helped quite a bit though. I finally found the voltage regulator for this big Detroit alternator. It's a 28 volt, 65 amp. And this is difficult to get your hands on this regulator, but I found one, and the symptom was charging max at 32 volts all the time. So we swapped it out, and sure enough, that fixed it. So that saved us a big headache of having to rebuild or swap the entire alternator. Here's our redesigned cockpit. We took that tiny bait tank out and restored the factory steps on both sides, and we've cleaned this up. We've got the ever important ice maker running, and we must have a beer cooler, and I have been cleaning and painting in the lazarette. It all looks much better down here. During today's work on the boat, we freshened up our little fixtures in our bait prep area sink. They were pretty tired, probably original. And we get a nice couple new fixtures here that we put in that are readily available Sandvik parts. So that was nice to get that done. Everything's working. They were both leaking. This one was leaking underneath, this one was leaking in the sink. So that's 2 more water leaks buttoned up. That sure is some nice looking water out there, isn't it? Very nice, pretty and blue. Makes you want to take a swim, actually. Okay, real quick, we did the backup depth gauge over here. All the switches are here now. Kept this one, but put a new panel. Added a charger, phone holder. Moved the autopilot here. We talked about the gauges, almost done there. Kept this one, but and then this is the one we added for the camera, which is neat. And then we've got a NEMA 2000 scanner, the loud hailer, and this is the iPad holder and keypad for the wife. When we were on our last trip, the davit started swinging back and forth, uncontrolled, and I knew something was wrong. We thought maybe like a shear pin, but it turned out that this whole cylinder that's responsible, it's basically the hydraulic swing motor. These bolts it only used lock washers, and they came loose, and the whole thing dropped down, sitting on the power line. This is just a rubber protector, and the hydraulic hoses, which is bad, of course. And so the boom was just loose. Well, there's a series of pins on the top up here that it probably can't see, and those pins align into this spool, which is then bolted to the boom. So we had a heck of a time picking the cylinder up and rebolting it and trying to line it up. So finally we just took these bolts out of the spool so it could rise, and we bolted up the cylinder. Once the cylinder was up, then we just aligned the spool and realigned the bolts. Worst part's getting your hand and wrenches in here to do it, but we took wrenches and we put tape on them. Well, here we go. We put just blue tape to hold the nut and washer to go back under here and put them on. Anyway, lots of fun. So we're good now, though. It doesn't move at all. So problem solved, but it cost us about 8 hours and a lot of headaches today.
Congrats.
Thanks. This thing's heavy and obnoxious, and I don't want to carry it off the boat, so we're using the crane. That's it.
Perfect, actually. That's perfect, though.
Okay.
Wow. Do you need towel on that or no?
Not anymore, because we're not going to have to worry about the deck. Are we good on
Yeah,
boom?
you're good. Just cable on down. Dolly thingy?
Yeah, I'll just set it. Okay.
You're just gonna hold it right there, right?
Yeah, we'll just let it.
Good job.
Okay, we're gonna do a Detroit diesel, 2-stroke diesel engine tune-up. The short version of that means that you take your spin-on filter, stick a trash bag under it with like an oily diaper inside to soak up the fuel that you might spill, which will be a little bit. And you're gonna take this filter off. We're gonna take a new filter, fill it all the way up with sea foam solution, and then we're going to run the engines for 5 minutes and shut them down and let them sit for several hours. Believe it or not, that will actually do a wonder for your fuel system on these engines. Clean up a lot of carbon and stuff. So if you haven't done it, they're hard to start. They roll quite a bit before they start, or they're smoking. This is a good, cheap, easy thing to try. Cheap, it'll cost you $100 an engine probably. These are 12V92 TAs. Okay. This is your stuff right here. You can get it in any Napa or other auto parts store. Very good stuff. Motor treatment, good stuff. But just fill the entire fuel filter to the top with this. Of course, leave enough room to tilt it to spin it on, but then start your engine up, let it run for 5 minutes, and shut it on. There's our full filter. Don't get the wild idea of spinning this thing around in a circle real fast. It'll sling stuff everywhere. Check out these directions. Clean the stuff off, put a little oil on the gasket, spin it on, then when it touches, do 3 extra quarter turn, then start your engine and see if you have leaks. That's it. 3/4 turn. I'm trying to change the last bathroom sink fixture that's in need of replacement.
It's really tight there, dude.
It's really tight up here, but I think I've got the last nut coming loose. Oh my gosh. Thank you, God. That's as far up as it goes, dude. Okay, I think that's it. Oh, get me out of here.
Okay, you got it, the bolt out?
Yep. Ta-da.
Good job.
Let's clean that nasty ring.
Dirty.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's nasty.
Okay, let's clean that off and we'll put the new one. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about strainer cleaning. This is an easy to do job, and when you do it often, your strainers, they stay clean, your devices are happier, they'll work better, and it's also easier to get the cages in and out when you do them more often. It's also a good idea to operate your through-hole valves, like at least monthly. That one right there is a bear, but I move it anyway. We have these Perco Series 500 and size 11 seawater strainers on the motors. They have a 3-inch NPT in and out, and they've got a stainless screen inside. It seems like they put the bottoms of these things on. It's a bronze bottom with epoxy. Well, on this side, the bottom stayed in there and I just got the screen. So Cinnamon had to stick her hand all the way down there because my arm wouldn't fit up past the forearm. And we got the piece out, and I used some splash zone epoxy to put it back together. And it actually doesn't look too terrible. So I'm hoping we can get one more run out of this thing. I would have just bought another one, but they're difficult to find and very expensive. Like West Marine shows a thing for 300 bucks or higher. I saw as high as $500. But the place I found it had the cheapest was C.G. Edwards. You might check them out. They're in Boston. Anyway, just one more fun thing to discover while you're clearing stuff up. One more naughty tip on these Perco size 11s is the cap gasket. If you buy the gasket set, it's 2 gaskets for the top and the bottom of the clear tube, and then 1 cap gasket. I discovered if you get this gasket kit for the $493, it's a much smaller strainer, but it just so happens that the base and top gaskets are the same as the cap gasket on this size 11. So when you do a strainer cleaning, you can swap out your cap gaskets on both sides, because of course we have 2 motors here. Just by buying this single gasket kit, I'll have this left over that was for the cap of the smaller one. But it's nice to get both of these in one kit, and it's also a lot cheaper. So that might help somebody out that has the the size 11 3-inch in and out. The rough measurements of this thing are 9 by 18, incidentally. And the cage is, I want to say it's 3 or almost 4 inches, and it's 14 and 3/8 high, I believe. Anyway, hope that helps you out. All right, so today's the day we're finally going to get some tint on these windows. So I'm not sitting in a fishbowl up here anymore. We got Gary of Gary's Window Tinting here. He says piece of cake. He's going to do the lightest shade up in the front, and we're going to go a little darker on the sides so we can still see at night. So I'm excited to see how it turns out.
What's up? What are you doing up there?
What am I doing? Well, the hoses, you can actually see, look how they're just laying sideways here. And there's factory fasteners up underneath here that all the screws are there, but nobody ever fixed them. So we're putting these back up so that we get good airflow, but also if they get splashed with water, the water will drain back out. Like this, if it splashes, it lays in the tube and then it just starts to stink. and I can see some evidence of some dried seawater. So this is the dryer hose. This hose is for the pump room fan, which hasn't been working. And of all places, there's a fuse holder under here. So I don't know why that's here. We might try to relocate it. It's a crazy place for a fuse. But yeah, we got it fixed at least. So now we're just trying to put this stuff back together so it's right. These hoses that are below me, I mean, this is the sink drain. Look at this. Generally, in a drain system, you don't have a hose going uphill. So we'll fix these drains so everything can flow downhill and we don't have nasty water gathering in there. Just more fun boat stuff. All right, we're gonna try to figure out where these holes go. I think this one goes in the equipment room. Can you see my hand?
Yeah.
All right, what's in this other hole? Oh my God. Okay, I guess that's where the other one is. Thanks for that. Okay, on your Vetus thruster, you may have a 5-amp fuse that's set into, this is underneath the little cover, there's the 2 thumb screws. Pull the black cover off. Anyway, these wires, I don't know whose idea it was to put this down here, but this thing is just a bad idea. Gets filled with corrosion, so we just removed the 2 wires from here, and we actually put a weatherproof inline fuse holder with a 5-amp fuse, and you can run that straight from the bus bar here or directly from the positive tap. That's going to provide power, control power for your thruster. These terminals usually are dry and they'll end up like that on you. So take this all apart. Of course, disconnect the master, disconnect for DC. But pull these all apart, wire brush them, and then liberally coat all of your connections with some good silicone grease. And that should prevent you from having problems for a long time. The other thing you really want to look for on these Vetus thrusters is there's usually a 4-pin connector that goes to these control wires, which is positive and negative for control power. And then the white-green runs it one way, and the blue-white runs it the other direction. But you can see like how these get cheesed up. We've already wire brushed and cleaned those up. But you'll want to make sure those are all clean in order to properly reverse your thrusters, or they just won't work. So don't forget there's 2 on the bottom. That's extra fun. So good luck, and don't pay $1,000 for someone else to do it. You can do it yourself. We just got back to the boat and there's been a freeze, but there was also an extreme low tide event here. But I don't know that I've ever seen it this low.
I guess, how are you gonna get in the boat?
It's still moving, so it's still floating, but swim step doesn't bump the piling, and it's in the air like 3 feet. These ropes do not go down normally. They go like sideways, so it's pretty crazy. I'm gonna have to walk up like by the bow to get on even.
Oh, look at the other side right here.
I can almost step up to the fly bridge from here.
Yeah, that's great. I think this is the lowest, dude.
This might be the lowest we've been.
Yeah. Hey, dude. Oh my God.
What do you want to do with these groceries? Throw them?
Just do it.
My God.
Just like you're in the top. I'm in the downhill.
Come over on the side.
Oh yeah, that's really low. The thing is sitting on the air.
I'm sure as heck not going to step down. I'll have to go up there. Thank you for watching our Hatteras videos. Please like and subscribe.